let's get into the show.
All right, fantastic. So yeah, this week we're going to be talking about some rarely buggy games. We're going to talk about the Game Pass explosion that's happening, and then apparently we're going to talk about pimps.
My cousin the pimp.
No, I wasn't briefed on this.
Yeah, I wasn't briefed on this either. I've just got a note here that just says my cousin the pimp.
Charlotte will understand what I mean, but
I don't think my cousin is a pimp, as far as I'm aware. I mean, hey, prostitution's legal here, whatever. But without any further ado, Cameron is going to transition us to a song of the week that I think is probably the best one I've ever done. Right. I know I say that every week, but
give me 2 seconds.
Been trying so hard, I'm fighting a god. 80 runs for what? Oh man, I'm gonna die. I got this feeling that hell keeps pulling me down. I'll breach the ceiling, 'cause I ain't sticking around. Tonight I gotta cut through, and kick all the demons too. Please, Hades, stop dragging me back on my knees. And the Minotaur knows just what's in store. I'm gonna lose my boons. Zag is gonna have to cut through.
So, I know this one.
Okay, good. Thank fuck for that.
Makes one of us.
All right. So okay. It was. Do you know what it was based on? I assume you know, because it's the thing that everyone's been talking about, including myself.
It's on Hades, and I appreciate. I like the fact that you've added in so much stuff to it. Like
I've tried. I'm gonna try and make them more themed around what I've been playing, but this week I just had some real inspiration.
I am still here. I'm just plugging a charger in.
Yeah. Well, that's really good, Cameron, because you're about to answer what the song of the week is.
It is. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
It is Footloose.
Okay, it is Footloose. Yes, you know who sings it.
I have no idea.
Okay. Anyone in the chat? Does anyone in the chat know who sings it? I'll give you a clue. He also did.
Really uncultured that I don't know Footloose.
Kenny Loggins.
Yep. Okay.
The
Totally
Danger
knew
Zone. Danger Zone as well. You know. Well done. Oh yeah.
Have we done Danger Zone?
I have not done Danger Zone. I've thought about it, but
there's a
you
there's
choose
a theme with
Footloose.
these. You're very close to the same genres every week. I've never heard like I don't know.
Thank you.
A remix of like Kanye West or something. It just
look,
I want to hear Matt rap for one of the songs at least.
It has been requested before. Those requests go to the bottom of the bin.
I think the closest we had was when back on Real Gamer Score when Alex did Papa Roach. That was
Papa Roach was good. I like that.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, we got it, but it was. I think we got it from the lyrics rather than the sound of the music, right?
I think we got it more based on the fact that back in PAX of 2019, we were all in the Guitar Hero room making. Was it Guitar Hero Rock Band? Anyway, that kind of room making idiots of ourselves.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like musical shenanigans have always been a part of RGS and Hall of Gamers. And yes, Piani, I do see you've been banned for spamming. Again, we're barely 10 minutes into the show, and you've already been warned by Nightbot. Please stop doing that. No spam in the caps, all right? But yes, I mean, like I was once requested to do our X Gon Give It to You by DMX. But the thing is that. I think that the essence of that song would probably get me cancelled pretty quickly if I was really going to be doing it properly. I'm just, this unfortunately there are some aspects to my person that really just make that massively inappropriate.
I'm trying to think of what the most furthest out there song we've done is, but everything's been pretty tame.
I mean, I did that version of Nat King Cole, right? That was.
What about Kirby doing Mumford and Sons singing "Everybody Was Gonna Get It"?
Oh yeah, true. That's true. No one.
We need some like level of like either rap or grime or drill, like something just so off the wall and out there. Like it's just like, even if it's just for 1 week. Actually, it'd be even better if it was just for 1 week, because it'd be absolutely hilarious if like anyone goes through and listens and all these like well known, I suppose, popular like maybe peaked in the 80s, 90s songs, and then it's like some like drill from Artie in the UK or something, and it just goes back to normal.
Just some Dizzy Rascal, yeah, it'd be great. But yeah, I'll see what I can come up with. German death metal is a fantastic idea.
Yeah, let's do some Du Hast.
Du Hast?
Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. All right. Thank you. That's
Adrian.
That's Adrian. Kiku, thank you for resubscribing, mate. We appreciate it, giving us that primers. Any primers in chat? Anyway, let's get through the housekeeping stuff. What have we got this week? So, discord.io/gpngg is the best place to go and hang out with members of our podcast, our community, and also the GPN community as a whole. We've got a lot of stuff there with their articles. They're putting up the videos that we do and the other podcasts that are on there. We've got our own little community section as well because, we're the super important ones. Yeah, discord.io/gpngg if you want to come hang out there. We've also got like meme channels and all that kind of stuff. And pretty much if there's enough of a demand for something, we'll make a new channel for it. So
except for anything promoting the other podcasts.
Of course not. Yeah, I'm not doing that. No, absolutely not. We run the podcast department with an iron fist. We've also got our Twitch, which I hope you're watching on. If you're not, if you don't know what Twitch is, I don't know what you've been doing with your entire life. But it's basically, we're streaming the show live, so you can come check out the VOD, or if you're watching this on YouTube or listening to the audio version, you can come subscribe to us and talk in the chat and just spam caps and get banned, like certain people sitting across from me.
I'll make for an interesting story at your wedding.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, right. Also, Cameron set up a Ko-fi.
Yeah, so basically Ko-fi... Adrian said, all right, what do I do if I don't want to be a Patreon or I don't want to subscribe to Twitch, which he is doing now anyway, so why did I set this up, Adrian? Just more work on my plate, thanks for that. But essentially, if you want to support us, we have a Ko-fi that essentially you don't get any rewards or anything for, except for a pat on the back from us. Which, I mean, at the end of the day is what you want, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Validation from a parasocial relationship is really all the reward anyone can ask for. Also, you're doing some more work with the achievement alerts and a few other bits and pieces on the stream, Cameron?
Yep, so I nearly got it working today, and then one plugin broke on me. Oh, which, of course, it's just like, all right, do I delay the podcast for half an hour longer just to get this one thing to work? No, I'll just work on it next week and have the same issue that I've had for the last two.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's getting there, right? It's a work in progress, but hey, we're having a good time.
Yeah.
And then we've also got our Patreon, GPN Hall of Gamers. Basically, Patreon is where you can give us some money on an ongoing basis, so we can help afford to do competitions and distribution services and tools, so we can do this podcast, equipment, things like that. We're not retiring anytime soon, so we do put some of our own personal money into this to keep the show going. But if you do join the Patreon, you get access to things like Lights, Camera, and Action, which is our secondary podcast where we talk about video game movies, usually ones that one of us haven't seen, and we just we talk a little bit about them, about the history and their tie-in with the games in the first part, and then we go and watch it and come back and talk about what we thought about the movie. Spoiler, most of the movies are shit.
Well, the latest one that I've watched is pretty good, but we're waiting on somebody else.
Oh no!
I'm calling you out.
All right, so yeah. Look, we promised one or two of these a month. Okay, we're only halfway through August. They already got one last week.
What did you pick? Can I ask, or is that top secret?
So last time we did Assassin's Creed. That just came out recently. Right. And so we are currently in the process of watching Need for Speed. The Aaron Paul.
Oh, there is a Need for Speed.
The Aaron Paul classic. It's
and then
yeah.
Judging on the Twitter poll, it looks like we're going to be watching the original Resident Evil next.
Fantastic. Well, in that case, we're probably going to do a Resident Evil medley and just watch a bunch of them.
Oh dear.
It's got mate. There's like 6 of them. We're going to watch them back to back. It's going to be good. But yeah, so we're going to be working on that. I still need to watch the movie. I'm going to try and do it this weekend after I finish editing all these technical fuck ups. But yeah, it should be good. I'm excited. But if you want to catch those, you can listen to them over on the Patreon. The first 4 episodes from back when we were at RGS are free if you want to get a taste of what the shows are like. I will not lie to you, the production quality is not amazing. It's basically just us just sitting around talking shit with even more tangents than we do on this show.
Yeah.
So it's very lo-fi. It's really just raw. And I basically just put it up with a couple of sound effects and some music that's tangentially related to what we're talking about.
But it's getting better.
Yeah, we're also thinking about doing video. We record video and audio for it. If there's a demand for video, we might do it, but we'll see how it goes. I'm not making any promises. And also, like, if people don't want to see our faces, I totally get it. We've also got the competitions. We've got the word challenge. So I've set up the new word challenge. It's in there. So for those who don't know, the word challenge basically is part of our Discord. Is we have a channel where you can guess the title of video games, and if you put the right title in there, it'll pop up with a GIF. And if you see that GIF, you win $20. Simple as that. Each week, I'm going to give a clue. We do this once a month, and the first clue is going to be the least helpful clue of all time. Up until week 4, where basically I tell you what it is, and the first person to listen to it is going to get it. So the clue for this week is this is a game that has DLC.
Isn't that really narrowing it down? That is fantastic.
So good luck, guys.
I don't know who's worse. You're Kirby now. Jeez.
Well, I mean, Kirby had esoteric clues. Look, my clues are easy to understand. They just don't narrow it down very much.
We need to week 3 find out it was a title update and somebody's going to yell at
this is a game that released after 2007. Like, I will give you really narrowing it down.
I'll give you that. Okay, it was not a title update. It is a paid DLC. Okay, paid DLC. Cool. It's a paid DLC. Okay, I'll throw you guys a little bit of a bone. There are a lot of games, and it's a game that's on my list, which probably doesn't help. But all right, but again,
what
that's all
list?
Are they all Xbox games? Are they?
Usually, yeah. I picked an Xbox game for this one, but it's on my played list. I have played this game, so that narrows it down to about 1,000 games.
Yeah, so don't worry, guys. I felt out chat a little bit there.
What happened with one clue? Move on, jeez.
Well, yeah, you guys were bitching and moaning, so you know.
It's just funner that way.
Justifiably so.
Yeah, understandably. No, it's fine. It's fine. Okay.
Karens don't want solutions. They just want to complain.
That's true. This is 100% true. All right.
Yeah, I'll take that.
We've also got our Patreon drawer if you're involved in that. We introduce the Patreon drawer competition at the start of the month, and we announce basically the winner at the end, and then we do another one. At the moment, we're doing a poll where you basically pick between 3 games, or it's like three games, right, Cameron?
So you're picking between Nightbook, Forgotten City.
Yep.
And Death's Door.
Death's Door.
And Death's Door is currently winning 4 votes, and the other 2 have 1 vote each. Saying that, if you are the lucky Patreon winner that does win Death's Door and already do own it, you can opt to go with a month of Game Pass Ultimate instead.
Yeah, or you can just give the code to someone else, or whatever you want to do. You know,
we're pretty lenient.
Yeah, we keep things pretty loose on the show. Also, Cameron's come up with a new co-op competition that he wants to talk about.
Yeah, so pretty much I have something going on Twitter at the moment. I thought, all right, we'll get like a co-op kind of competition going. So essentially what it is go follow us on Twitter, tag 3 of your friends. The person that gets drawn out will then get 4 codes of Assassin's Creed Unity this time to share between their friends, just because, all right, everybody hands out like 1 code and all that, but like how many times do you see these co-op competitions where, you know, you can get your buddies
It's because
involved.
gamers don't have friends, Cameron. That's why they don't do those sorts of
We're
things.
trying to encourage social behavior.
I literally, what I saw, like, obviously I've responded, but like, you and Matt are the 2 people I go to tag in those things. And
Yeah, exactly.
That's
run
fine.
it this time. So I've lost 2 of them, and I had to like really scrounge. I was like, who else do I know who I can tag in this?
I was just
like Connor.
I'm just like, do I try and win the codes myself so then I can redo the competition next month?
What a surprise! We had some leftover codes.
You had 8 Assassin's Creed Unity codes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, you could just tag bot accounts and then just take the codes for yourself to double box the whole game if you want, completely defeating the whole purpose of it. I mean, you know, like being antisocial is kind of what I am, but you know, it's very much a do what I say, not what I do kind of situation, I think.
I mean, I didn't say that you had to play with other people. I just said take 3 other accounts. If you want to start 4 profiles yourself, then that's fine. I know some members of TA would rather do that than dealing the community.
True, very very true. But all right, I think that pretty much wraps up the housekeeping. So let's have a bit of a chat with you, Odrin. What have you been up to, mate?
Oh God, that is a.
Oh, okay,
I know Cameron sent me on the questions, but it's like, yeah, well, maybe specify a little bit.
Sure.
Can I just say too? You're the only guest out of probably the last 5 episodes I've actually sent the questions to.
Yeah, of course. Because why would we be prepared?
That's the journalistic aspect of getting sources and getting questions early on. See exactly. That I've got a foot in the door.
100%.
Exactly. So it's been a while since we've had a chat with you since on the last time you were on with IGS. What have you been up to since then? You've been a bit of a shaker and a mover.
Yeah. So, God, there's a lot of stuff going on. So, I suppose personally speaking, I have been working a lot. So I'm also trying to save up because I'm moving house at the end of September because I'm going up to college in Belfast, which is in Northern Ireland for those who don't know, or the north of Ireland, depending on your political leanings. So for a lot of that, I've just been working at that, trying to get a bit of money saved up, this, that, and the other. But outside of that, I have obviously been doing some writing for GPN. Obviously, you guys are involved in that as well. Clearly, GPN Hall of Gamers, and doing just sort of stuff with that. And then as well, obviously, for the main purpose of the show, Gaming Sandbox is a website we launched. Myself and Connor are both co-founders, who, when we were on the podcast last time, was for the unofficial Game Pass podcast. And since then, we've kind of expanded the brand into something more so something that we found a real passion in, which is, the smaller indie creators, finding those little gems of games either on Steam or itch.io or GOG and all these other things. And it's been going well so far. We're really enjoying it. We have consistently writing, 3 of us, nearly 200 followers in the space of I think 3 weeks, which I think is quite good.
That's great.
That's great.
Yeah, so I'm happy with how it's going anyway. So that's been taking up most of my time.
So it sounds like you've been pretty busy then.
Yeah, no, maybe a bit too busy. I'm going to need to cut back on some stuff relatively soon, but I will ride the wave out for as long as I can.
Oh, no, totally makes sense. And so in terms of Gaming Sandbox in general, so do you want to go into a bit more detail around sort of the structure and kind of what prompted that? I mean, you used to do a lot of interviews and that kind of stuff with indie developers. I imagine that's kind of been the springboard for that. Yeah,
so I love games, and I particularly love indie games because I always feel like they're the most unique titles you can find, and it's always great when you can play a game and then literally just shoot the developer a message and they'll respond to you. And I found for the most part that I don't think I've found a single indie developer thus far that I've interacted with has been abrasive to any sort of feedback or commentary or discussion with them. Like, they've always been like, oh my god, I'm really proud you like the game or whatever, and yes, do this, that, and the other. And Indie Insight was a podcast I was starting up on my own at the beginning, which is now something that's come under the banner of Gaming Sandbox as well. But Connor and I were talking, and both of us really like to write. We had both written previously for amateur publications, but we kind of wanted a scenario where we could decide what we write and kind of write about pieces that we felt we were adding something to the gaming community. So obviously you'll see a lot of websites, particularly more on the amateur side, will do news on Xbox and all that, and I'm really throwing shade here at a publication I write for, but I don't mean it in that way. But the one thing I always had a gripe with gaming websites is when you read a news piece off a gaming website, it's very much just a reworded press statement. And I've never liked that because, one, I hate reading press statements. I don't know anyone who does like reading them. And two, it feels really almost like you're just doing free PR. Well, not in person, but it feels like you're doing free PR for a title. And whilst, I certainly don't go out with the idea of bringing down anybody. As a journalist, we kind of like to, at least with Gaming Sandbox, we employ standardized journalism. We're not out to promote you. You should pay us if we're going to promote you. We're out to report on a story, get a story that's interesting to our readers. So for the most part, our news pieces, bar maybe 1 or 2 at the moment because of time constraints and maybe people not getting back to us, we've made the extra effort to maybe push it back a day or 2, but we've gone out of our way to get a quote from the developer or from the publisher or whatever to add something to that story that makes it unique. So you're not just reading the same IGN article or the same GameSpot article. Not that those guys don't do great work, I'm sure they do, and time constraints in journalism is always a difficult thing in general, speaking from personal experience outside of Gaming Sandbox. But Gaming Sandbox was founded by myself and Connor with, first of all, the intention of having the freedom to write about what we want, and then secondly to, I suppose, uplift and elevate titles that we feel don't get enough praise in the indie scene. So everyone knows the big publishers, Annapurna, Devolver, who else is a big one? God, yeah, you say everyone knows them and then you forget. New Blood isn't it?
Way Forward and that sort of stuff with the sort of indie titles, right?
How do you mean?
Sorry. Actually, no, sorry. You were saying? Sorry.
Oh no, yeah, just So like the big publishers, everyone knows like Raw Fury who do like Backbone, everyone knows New Blood who do like Dusk and all that, and like we all love talking about that stuff, and that's certainly something that we don't like exclude from the website. But there's a lot of other smaller creators that maybe don't have a publishing company, maybe they release solo games on itch and then they blow up or whatever. Like that's how a lot of New Blood titles, you know, found their footing, was because they were basically titles run by individuals. Like Airdorf did Faith, that got picked up by New Blood. There's a lot of other stuff as well, and it's just, you know, we wanted to have a platform, like obviously it's not extremely big at the moment, but there's room to grow, and for the most part we wanted a place that we talk about games that we enjoy, that we like. We're never going to post, I think, an overtly negative piece on something. It'll always be constructive, which I think is probably the baseline minimum for a lot of journalism, but it's weird that I have to say that nowadays. Given the fact that I read some maybe Kotaku articles and I'm like, these guys are like, the one thing about I think was the
we covered like
XCOM
thing looks like shit.
It was just like, that doesn't help anyone. That's not constructive. Those developers who are working on the game have a passion for it, or at least they're getting paid for it, and they don't like people denigrating their work. Nobody likes that. Constructive criticism is a big difference. So we like to promote these smaller games, whether it's a solo dev on itch.io, whether it's a solo dev, or even just a small group or a collective that are trying to create a game that in their term is a passion project. And we're always aware of that when we do a review or a piece on something, because it's like, you know, we all love games at the end of the day. Like, I don't wake up in the morning and be like, oh, I can't wait to rinse into this individual who's like doing it part-time, like they work a day job, like all of us do. So like at the same stage, we're almost on a same level to that as well, because, you know, Connor and I don't do it full time. We don't get paid. God, we lose money, like a decent amount of money, and I'm not going to go into that, but it has been an extremely enjoyable outlet to talk about these things, and it has been extremely rewarding in the sense that, you know, developers like when you talk about their games, surprisingly, and you know, they even like it more if you have like some affinity or affiliation to it in some way. And you know, again, it goes back to, we're not pampering the game or giving a free promotion. We're just saying like, this is a good game, like it deserves more recognition. So yeah, that was a big rambly answer for what Gaming Sandbox is, but I think that kind of maybe covers it.
Yeah, that's great. No, that's 100%. I want a lot of our listeners to go and check it out and then see what they can find. Cameron, you wrote up a piece for this, didn't you?
So I wrote up an article for Death Store, sent it over to Odrin. He hated it. He told me, go back.
No, I did not do that. I did not do that.
No.
He should have.
In fairness, Cameron, you were very... when Cameron sent me over his Death Stores review, he was like, be brutally honest. And I was expecting something terrible. Like, your review was really good. Like, a lot of writing or journalism is very much format, and then it's writing second. Like, I will take someone who has a good format over someone who's like talented literally. Like, obviously I'm not going to say I don't want talented writers,
sure,
because Connor would be turning in his grave otherwise. But the whole like premise of it's like, you know, Cameron, you sent over that Death Store piece, and I was expecting like to do a lot of revisions, and I was reading it, and the main part for reviews, particularly on websites for games, you know, because everyone's doing them, it's to first of all inform the reader of like what mechanics are good in the game, what you felt you enjoyed, and it's also a personal experience, because you can't review, like, it's not like reviewing a movie where the same experience for everyone else. It's like a game is going to be extremely individualized. Maybe some people will have crossover and all that, but it's going to be a particularly individualistic piece. So I enjoyed reading it, and it actually, in fairness to Cameron, his piece actually made me go out and buy Death's Door, because I'd seen it a while, and I was like granted, I've played like an hour of it because I have such a huge backlog library, and you know, as you can imagine, it's true what people say. Once you start writing about games, or you're like doing stuff with relation to games, you never play them ever again, because you're just too busy doing other stuff. But yeah, no, I thought it was a really good piece. I enjoyed it. It certainly helps add color to the website as well. That's the one thing I love about Gaming Sandbox at the moment, is the beauty of indie titles is it's a lot more like the art styles of stuff like Boomerang X is just like, it looks beautiful. Stuff like Death's Door as well, like they all like have these wide palettes of colors. So whenever you see them on the website, it's like, ooh, very nice. Like, I'm almost like a moth when I go to the website. I'm like, oh, so much light. I love it. But yeah, no, you did a good piece, Cameron. I wouldn't be putting yourself down or anything.
I know. I definitely want to do more in the future, because like that's the first time I've ever wrote for anything like that. But then I need to stow the line carefully at the moment too, of I keep on doing stuff for other people, and it's just like
Mate, we run a podcast over here, you know, just letting you know. But no, that's fantastic. So in terms of that sort of stuff, are there ways that people can get involved with Gaming Sandbox?
Yeah, so like obviously Cameron wrote the piece and he's not a consistent writer for us, but you know, he reached out, he sent us a message or whatever. We have actually a section on the website that's want to write, so you can go to that, submit maybe an article idea you have. Saying that though, if you go over to our Twitter weekly, we'll have a post that's like, hey, do you want to write about this? Now, I want to preface this straight away, it's all voluntary. Like I mentioned already, Connor and I lose money on this website, so we're not making anything back from it. Bar the like small giveaway we do at the end of the month, which is like us putting a tenner towards a small indie game to like give back to the community. We don't make any more money from it. Sorry, we don't make money in general, but we don't actually use money in any other facet of the website bar its upkeep. So it'll be all voluntary if you go over and choose to write. But that being said, you know, we offer a large scope of anyone who wants to write a piece that they're passionate about. You know, you can come to me with like the most bizarre idea for specifically indie games, but we don't just target that. Like Connor did a piece on the Halo Infinite with the beta and all that, and we've had different other pieces surrounding more out there conversations about gaming in general. I know I did a piece on Max Payne when I turned 20, so there's external stuff you can do if you want to write about that. But we're always looking for new people to come on and write stuff, even if it's just for the experience aspect. Like Connor and I, you know, whilst we're not the most experienced people in the world, like I've written for, you know, established news publications, I've published and written articles for amateur news publications. Like I have an idea of like what formatting in news should look like, so if you come over and write for the website, for even if it's just 1 or 2 articles, you will get an idea of how, you know, formatting will work in a journalistic setting, what sort of standard of writing you'd be expected to write in that sort of setting as well. So by no means am I perfect, but I think it's definitely it's more attractive than just kind of going into just a bunch of guys who just write. So we do have some level of professionalism in that sense. That being said, it's not just writers we want to get on board. You may have seen recently we have a sort of a partnered streamer in Tokyo McPot, or who Adam is his real name, but you know, he has joined up on us and we kind of promote his stuff, and he does his indie streams twice a week. And you know, we're looking always constantly, like, because we're always thinking about branching out into doing video content. You know, we do the podcast and we have that on YouTube. We'd love to get video reviews. So if you're into video editing, video creation, streaming, writing, God, anything at that stage, like come to me with an idea. And I'm always like, I always love to hear people's ideas on stuff. So yeah, you can probably submit to us through the want to write section, but you can also reach out to me on Twitter. You can reach out to the actual page on Twitter, anything at all. Like, just if you have an idea and you think, oh, I want to get this out there. Also, I want to say as well, you know, there's an element of like, since people aren't paid, like there's no time pressure on anything. So like if you have an article and it takes you a month to write and you're thinking, oh, I can't commit to doing stuff on a weekly basis, you know, we're really flexible. Like we're there for the passion of writing about games. We're not there for like trying to create this like churned out system of content. Granted, we try and keep stuff as consistent as possible for readers, but that's more on myself and Connor and Chris, who's writing with us at the moment. So it's as flexible as you want it to be. You can write one article for us and think, oh, I'm not really into this, and leave. We're not going to be like, no, we have you down on this like 12-month contract now. But no, yeah, so anyone can get involved through the website, through messaging me or Connor on Twitter, the page itself, and I think that covers everything. Yes, we have a Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn account as well if you want to follow. I don't know why we have a LinkedIn account. I don't imagine many business people are reading my stuff, but just for sort of recognition's sake. But yeah, you can do it all through there. And I've rambled and said the same thing like 3 times.
Hey, no,
that's what happens when you don't put a check on me.
No, that's beautiful. That's great. Like it sounds fantastic. Like I'm super keen to look into it. And so you talked a little bit about branching out. Like, have you got any big plans for the future? You talked a little bit about video content, but is there anything you want to hint at or reveal, or you know?
Let's see. There's some stuff we're working on that I'm not comfortable with sharing yet, because we're not sure about the logistics of that, and that's not down to that we're not wanting to do it. It's more down to how much time commitment that involves. So there's some big projects that we have in the works, which I know is a really typical like influencer thing to say. It's like, oh, big things planned, guys, come back next week. It's like, no, we
watch
are
this
like
space, yeah.
But we are working on a couple of projects in the background. I think the most recent thing that we probably will have established is that we'll be moving more towards the podcast Indie Insight, which is what we've been working on at the moment, interview developers, but we're going to be putting an angle on it so much more that we get regular gamers on, people who write for different publications, people who are into the indie scene or whatever, coming on talking about a specific topic that week, whether it's kind of what games got you into indie games, what games have particularly moved you or whatever, stuff like that. We want to do more of a, not so much more of a talk show, but almost a more discussion based format that feels a lot more professional than just the standard sit down chat shit for an hour and get off. Which that works perfectly fine. We do that in the Unofficial Game Pass podcast every week, probably to the detriment of our listeners in some cases. But I think we had a Psychonauts episode that was about 20 minutes Psychonauts and then 40 minutes just talking about random shit. So I mean, it was brilliant. That was a week I played about an hour of Psychonauts, so it was probably for the best. But yeah, outside of that, the podcast, the main thing we're focusing on at the moment, we are trying to get video content established as well. We have looked into maybe in the future, if there's always the discussion of if we get profitable, first and foremost, if we got profitable, people would be paid. That's the main thing. And then you have to think about after that. So there's a load of stuff I could say now is in the pipeline for the future, but that'd be a year or two down the line. There's no point me committing to that now.
Fair, totally fair. I mean, who knows? The water wars and the apocalypse might happen by then, and no plan survives first contact with the enemy. The enemy being society as a whole. But that sounds fantastic. I'm super keen to go check some of that stuff out. I also been watching some sort of robot war going on as well on the Twitter accounts.
Yeah. So Robot Republic, who are another news publication, they got in contact with us on the Unofficial Game Pass podcast, and they were like, "Hey, would you like to come on our podcast?" They do a podcast, The Gaming Manifesto or whatever, and they talk about loads of different stuff. And they're really great guys. Callie, who runs it, is amazing, and they have a load of great writers as well. And I definitely recommend everyone goes and checks out them as well. This the gaming indie journalistic scene is something not to be competed in. It's more for collaboration, as is the case with the games too. So always go and check out those guys. But we have a bit of back and forth on Twitter. We had I think we had a versus in Fall Guys when it came to Game Pass. It was Connor and I versus Riku, who's one of their streamers, and Callie. So I mean, that is still in the works. Knowing my schedule, that video will go up in a year's time, but it's still there. But yeah, those guys are cool. And they're definitely worth anyone's time if they get the chance.
Yeah, definitely follow. Basically, all you have to do is follow Gaming Sandbox and then just follow everything they retweet, because it's some of the funniest shit I've ever seen. It's great. All right. Well, thanks for being on the show, Odrin. Really appreciate you coming on and I mean doing your spiel and hey, there's nothing wrong with a good plug.
I'll see you next week, guys. See you next week.
Exactly. He's obviously, yeah. I'm just gonna shut you up for now.
I'll just go sit in the corner. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We'll just switch the video off. It's fine. But we should probably move on to the news. Cameron, what have you found for us this week?
All right, so I've got some really quick stuff. Pretty much, first one is Halo Infinite's size got leaked. So this will be the biggest... Oh, what's MCC at the moment? I probably should have checked that beforehand. But Halo Infinite will require nearly 100 gig of disk space, according to the leak.
Which... I mean, so is that including the multiplayer as well? Is that a combined package?
This is the thing. We don't know if it's... I mean, it's just one title on the store, I believe. So I don't think it's going to be a Crackdown situation like maybe you were hoping.
I was hoping... Well, I don't know, because they said that is the multiplayer and the single player releasing at the same time? Because they were talking a lot about how they were separate, quite separate.
I think the discussion for so long has been if the game's not finished, why not release one without the other? Sure. That kind of stuff. I just feel like this is you just want the whole Crackdown situation because you don't want to get sweaty in pubs.
I mean, yeah, basically. I mean, I'm not going to make a secret of the fact that I don't want to have to deal with the unwashed masses to get my fucking achievements. Yeah, absolutely not. But I don't know. I mean, you're right. I am surprised. I mean, again, games are big these days, right? In terms of size, in terms of download stuff. But it was Warzone and
Warzone was what
150 or something, ridiculous amount.
It's not worth that space. To be honest.
No, exactly right. That's 100% agree. And then your Master Chief Collection's huge. You get to the stage where it's well, you better be buying one of those cards to put in the back of your Xbox, because you're gonna be running out of space very quickly if you're a big multiplayer gamer.
The reason those games are always so big though is because it's not generally the content of them. It's more the fact that they're putting in so many new assets every time they do an update.
Yeah.
So it's like if Halo Infinite goes down that line where there's like a billion weapon skins and like different armor types, like I could see it get like, if it's 100 at launch, it's gonna go up to 200 at some stage. Like that's
Easy.
the problem at the moment, is that games are getting bigger, but the console size capacity is not.
Well, Warzone is the case of they're not optimizing it correctly every time they update. Especially for Xbox. I don't know what the case is with PlayStation.
It's pretty much the same situation. A lot of people were complaining about that.
It can be done right though. Like, as you look at games like Doom Eternal, like that came out after Doom 2016, and it's got a plethora of content added to it, and it's still smaller than Doom 2016. Like, they're obviously doing something that other companies aren't doing. Now, you can say maybe the visual fidelity of Doom Eternal isn't on par with, like, I suppose Warzone or whatever.
Sure, I guess, but yeah.
But like, it's so minor at that stage. It's like I would take the smaller file size.
Exactly. I would agree. Although, if I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on for a second here, but wouldn't it be the most Activision thing of all time for part of their strategy to be like, well, we just make the file size as big as possible, so even if you wanted to play something else, you just can't. It's like you play Warzone and you're like, man, I wish I could play like Battlefield or something, but I literally cannot fit on my hard drive.
I think that was like a conspiracy for a while.
Yeah.
And
we'll find out in 6 months that they're releasing their own line of hard drives and...
It's... like, especially for people with data caps and stuff, this really does suck, and I don't see it getting any better anytime soon. But I totally agree with the Halo Infinite stuff because like the multiplayer is free to play, so it's going to be completely funded by skins and weapon stuff and all kinds of emotes and all that other bullshit that's in Fortnite and every other free to play game, and just basically poisoning the well. I mean, like to be fair though, Halo is pretty much the perfect environment for that in terms of customization, right? Like it's got really identifiable characters. There's a lot of passion in the industry and a lot of passion, in the community to do that kind of stuff, to customize armor and stuff. Like looking at like how Reach worked.
It's interesting that they haven't said anything about Forge.
Actually, that's a good point.
Cameron, Forge was on the back burner for Halo 5 as well. I don't know what that's looking like.
That's a very good point.
I am worried that if I don't want them to, I'd rather they released everything, because it was received so negatively when they did that in Halo 5 that I don't know why they would do it again. Like, I genuinely cannot fathom. Like, sorry, I'm going to go on a bit of a rant here.
Go for it.
It's like Halo Infinite, they took the year out. That's fine. They had a campaign there. Like, I would have been happy if they had released that and they like updated over time, but I totally understand why they waited a year. Like, some people are saying to me like that, they're still working on it. Why would they give a release date? There should be a release date. They've had an open beta. Like, the game is like, we know when Back 4 Blood's coming out. Like, it has its open beta now. Like, Halo Infinite is just saying holiday, and then there's all these people speculating that's going to be multiplayer first because they're putting such a little emphasis on the campaign. Even on their Twitter page, like, I think their banner is very much Halo Infinite multiplayer, and it's all about the free to play aspect. It's like, I don't buy Halo for multiplayer. It's a secondary thought to me. Like, I want to know if campaign is coming out, like, and I want to know at least a set date. Even if they did a Cyberpunk and pushed it back a week, to have some date in mind would be nice. Like, it's just it was clearly the most frustrating part of E3. All these amazing games having release dates, and then the big one, the most important game there, having holiday 2021. Yeah, but it's just also like, how many years have they been at it now? Like 6 years? Is it like 6 years since? Halo 5 was 2015, Yeah, well, MCC came out, I think, 2015, wasn't it? As well.
2014? I started in November of 2014, so... Before.
Yeah. But, like, it's just... Like, they've had 6 years. How have they not, like, done something with it at this stage? Because, and I don't mean this in any way, and maybe this is an elitist thing to say, but this prioritization of having it on Xbox One as well, I feel like it's going to be detrimental to the game coming out, because they're putting a lot of things into trying to force it onto this console that realistically can't run. Like, it barely runs Halo 5, the Xbox series, like the Xbox One S. Like, I don't have the Xbox One X, so I can't tell. But like, you can tell when you boot up Halo 5 on the Series X that it's such a much better experience. Like, because it's actually like, it feels like it's made for that hardware more than it was the Xbox One. And like, trying to force a game that's meant to be like a successor to that and be better in many facets, it just seems ridiculous. Like, it just seems so bad. And like again, maybe I'm looking at it from a very elitist perspective, the fact that I have a Series X, and I understand as well that there's people who can't either afford to get a Series X or can't actually get a Series X because of just like the restrictions on these next gen consoles, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's like I think there's some merit in the skepticism to be saying like, why is it releasing on like hardware that is so blatantly like worse than what they're targeting for the Series X?
I was gonna say why it might come down to a case of them doing something like Battlefield, where Battlefield is having a Series X and S separated, not in terms of like title, but as in terms of its multiplayer, which I guess the game is completely. What was it, 128 players on Series S and X and 64 on the baseline, like Xbox One.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if it is a case of Halo, but the communication hasn't been clear around it, or they're testing stuff out still. Because I feel like the only reason we got a holiday 2021 release date, quotation marks, is because they're not entirely sure themselves still.
Yeah, okay. So I think that this is a multifaceted issue, right?
Yeah.
And I think that like basically everything that could go wrong did go wrong for 343, right? Halo 5 did decently, but was critically panned in terms of its campaign. People were mixed on the multiplayer. Some liked how they changed it, some didn't, which is always how it's going to be.
Yeah.
But the campaign was a bit of a shocker, to be honest. Mechanically, it's fine, but story-wise, it sucks. So, and then they also had Master Chief Collection before that was going very poorly for them. They've had to pour a lot of resources into to actually make usable.
Yeah.
So they're 0 for 2 on that. And then they go, okay, Halo Infinite, Halo 6 is going to be the big one. We need time to work on this. We do an announcement trailer. We say, hey, we're definitely doing this thing. It's going to be a reimagining. We're going to be bringing Halo back to its roots and trying to do it. Like there'll be some open world stuff in it. We'll talk a little bit about we'll talk about the campaign. We'll get to the multiplayer later. We'll show this video off. Everyone fucking hates it. And they're like, okay. Now, at this point, they're like, okay, Series X and the Series S and X are coming out. We do not know how this is going to sell. We don't know if this is going to be a 360 launch where it's just going to explode and everyone's going to be super into it, or it's going to be an Xbox One launch where it'll be a slow burn and people, because of how strong PlayStation's been. So they say, okay, we'll hedge our bets. Microsoft come out and say, hey, we've got, for the first year, every Microsoft game will come out on the previous gen and the current gen, just to make sure. It's because they're like, great. They roll Halo into it. They say, okay, we'll keep Halo relatively low key and just have it on both systems because we don't know, like we need to have, like Halo needs to be big because we need a big win for this. So we need to have the install base of people who can buy it.
Well, this is defining the next 10 years for them too.
Exactly, right? And exactly, because this is the thing, is that like if Halo Infinite, like especially on the multiplayer side of things, takes off, this is going to be their platform the same way Warzone is. And so, and as Kyle points out in chat, yeah, considering the chip shortage, exactly, that's the thing, is that you had COVID and the chip shortage for those consoles not getting out there, then being like, well, we need to release, this needs to be big. There are going to be a lot of people who literally cannot get the new Xbox, and we can't afford to exclude them from playing Halo because Halo needs to be our big holiday winner.
Yeah.
And so like, okay, cool, we'll release it on both consoles. We get to that trailer, they show it off, and everyone's like, wow, that is the worst looking fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And they're like, oh shit, okay, well, we need more time to work on this. We can't release this in this state because we can't risk this. And so suddenly it's like, okay, well, all the things that we did to get it ready for last holiday's launch are now going to hamstring us now that we have to push it. So we get none of the benefit of having it ready early on both consoles, and then we have all this other stuff happening with the chip shortage and COVID making it hard to develop for. And then it comes out being like, okay, well, we need to do multiplayer because multiplayer is going to be the thing that actually makes us money that allows us to make more Halos in the future, right? And so that's why they have to do a big push on the multiplayer front, saying, okay, here's Battle Royale, it's free. Here's all this multiplayer stuff. Get into it. It's going to be skins. You're going to be battle passes, all that sort of stuff. And like they can't afford to talk about anything else because when you talk about FPS these days, it's just Battle Royale basically. And like I know it's we're kind of on the downward slope of that, right? Like we had like Fortnite and PUBG and all that other stuff that's in there that's kind of up and down. And now we're kind of on the tail end of people are going like, yeah, like I like Apex, and I like Fortnite, but like I'm kind of over it. It's kind of saturated. And that's why they came out saying, oh, no, it's not a battle royale. Like we're going to do like traditional multiplayer. And then it comes out, yeah, they are doing a battle royale that's tied in with campaign somehow, but that's not their priority. That's not what they're talking about. Yeah. And I think like it's going to be hard for them because they I don't know if they're going to find the balance. Is kind of my point after that whole rant, right? Is just like, I think that they're talking about multiplayer because it's what's going to make the money, but the campaign is what's actually going to get people talking about the game in general. Because the people who talk about Halo, who love Halo, are super into the campaign. Like, they're into the lore, they're into all the weird memes and stuff, and like they just want to, get super into it and like have a really fun single player co-op experience with a story that really hits really well and that captures the feelings as they had when they booted up the original Xbox and played Halo. And like, cause like that was, Halo was the first thing I played on an Xbox and completely fell in love with it. And like, that was what, 20 years ago. So it's like, it's getting to that stage where it's like, okay, we need to have the multiplayer to make the money, but to actually make this something that sticks in people's mind and to have fond memories and to basically drive the need for a Halo Infinite 2 or whatever the fuck you want to call it, they have to have a strong single player, but they just don't. They can't afford to market it that way, and which makes me really, really worried about it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Rant over.
Yeah.
No, very, very valid point.
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything else we want to talk about Halo then, in terms of that?
Yeah, do you want to talk about season and means of production or any anything else that just get into it? Like I'll get down on the soapbox all day.
Look, I at the end of the day, I just hope that we get a release date soon.
Yeah.
I'm getting to a point at the moment where I'm getting gaming fatigue because there are so many titles coming out that I love, that I've been waiting for ages, and I'm just like, you put Boyfriend Dungeon as a surprise launch a day before Hades, like, Game Pass, what? Like, I love you, but at the same time, you're making me pick between two amazing games, like, anyway.
Well, yes or no. I mean, the thing is, Light, is that most people don't play games like we do.
Yeah,
I think we have to remind ourselves about that. Like, just because Hades came out doesn't mean everyone's going to play it. Everyone should play it, but that's the beauty of Game Pass, right? You can jump into it whenever you want.
Halo Infinite's going to launch alongside Forza Horizon 5, and I'm going to hate my life.
Yes, you will. Yeah, but the podcast is going to love it.
Yeah. All right. So moving along, Hellblade got a optimization for Series S and X.
Great. It's good.
Still makes the gameplay unbearable. sorry that was uncalled for.
No, you know what, Odrin, I'm glad someone fucking finally said it, because every time Hellblade comes up, it's like you and other guests, they're all like, oh man, that was such a great game, like I really enjoyed it, like the narrative was so cool, and like I like it, and they're always like, and I'm always like, yeah, but the gameplay sucks. They're like, oh, the gameplay was fine. I was like, no, no.
I want to say I went in all guns blazing with that statement, and whilst I stand by it, I just want to mention, like, I think Hellblade is a very acquired taste. I think the story of Hellblade, the writing, the acting is phenomenal. Bar Hella. No, that's.
But you also missed a puzzle, missed an achievement, and decided, no, this isn't for me. Yeah.
It's not a game. It's like I get why people now compare it to God of War.
Yeah.
It's like, outside of the aesthetic thing, I'm like, yeah, of course it's like God of War, because I'm never going to go back and play that a second time because I hate the gameplay.
I've heard comparisons to what is it, Heavenly Blade?
Well, yeah, Heavenly Sword. Yeah,
Heavenly Sword, sorry,
yeah. Heavenly Sword. Yeah, well, I mean, yes and no.
Okay. I hear all these great things about, like, what's it, like Hellblade. I hate it looks grainy, it looks dirty when I play it. Like, obviously it's got that optimization, all right, cool, high definition, dirt, brilliant. Like, it's just, sorry, I'm really railing on it. I actually do like it. I think it's good. Like, I think it's fine. I think people should play it if they're interested in that sort of stuff. But Hellblade puts on this weird pedestal because it's like the only thing Xbox has to compete with, and it's not even like an Xbox exclusive anymore. It's on PlayStation. It's just, Hellblade is such a strange one to me, because I like the idea of Hellblade more than I actually like playing Hellblade. Yeah. Like, I love when I hear new stuff about Hellblade. I'm like, oh my god, Ninja Theory, go for it. I love the like binaural audio thing you did in Hellblade. Like, do it again. And it's just like, I'm not gonna play it. Like, I'm just at this stage where I'm like, the Hellblade 2 is coming out, but I don't care.
With the second one, are you going to try it or not? Probably. Because I think this is a case of.
It's one of.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I just want to say, I feel like it's one of those games that I could just as easily just watch a video on YouTube of all the cutscenes and get the same experience out of it. Like, actually, I could get a better experience out of it because I don't have to slog through like the puzzles that I feel like I'm walking around in circles for 50 minutes. And I feel dumb most times when I play games, but I genuinely think that's a common occurrence with a lot of people that play Hellblade.
Yeah, right. Because it's like the whole thing is that the game is supposed to be somewhat intuitive, right? There's not a lot of.
You guys have done me so dirty. You brought up 2 games that are like flagship games for like Xbox, and you just made me chat shit about them.
Whatever. Like I don't give a shit, right? Like
I like both of them. They're both fine. It's just they're just Halo. I adore. Halo's like one of my all-time GOAT games. Like, but then I come to Hellblade, and I'm like, yeah. As I mentioned, like I like the idea of Hellblade. I could watch a movie or TV show by Hellblade. I just couldn't play a game by Hellblade.
I totally am. Like playing through it again on the Windows 10 for the achievements. Like I was like, oh, maybe I was too like harsh when I originally played this because I was like, maybe I need to get back into it. And it was like, yeah, no, I still 100% the same thing. It's like the combat is just kind of like, and the exploration is kind of, and it's like, but the plot points are interesting, and like I like how it looks in terms of like environments and the work, like the work they put into that game. And like it was an indie darling, right? Like it was the thing where it was like, okay, it's a like Ninja Theory were a small team who put out a game that had essentially AAA production quality in terms of visuals and acting and all that kind of stuff. Like it was kind of the perfect storm for them. The game, obviously, the gameplay itself has its own issues, and now they've been acquired by Xbox, which really just kind of proves the point that they kind of were that just kind of like they captured in the bottle, and I don't know if they're going to be able to do it again. But I mean, hey, otherwise you can go and play their other stuff.
Quick question: Ninja Theory also did Bleeding Edge, yeah?
Yes, they did. I was just about to mention that. Yeah. Bleeding Edge.
Yeah,
that's all I need to say about that.
Yeah,
this is a terrible reputation episode for me. Like, you bring me on, I talk about how great indies are. Here I am slamming an indie title. Like, I just, oh no, I see it's even I can be prone to the odd weakness of loving a title too much and then going. Maybe I was overhyped for it, to be honest, when I first played it. Yeah. In fact, Connor and I both. Like, that's our most recent episode of the podcast that's up now. You can go check that out. Small plug. But we both talked about, both of us had very similar experiences, and both of us, like, we actually like finished the episode. It's like, I don't know if we can publish this. This is just like Connor had to remind me. He was like, no, this is like fair criticism. Like, we spoke, like, I keep every 5 seconds I had to be like, I don't like this bit. Like, I think I got to the point where I was nitpicking that there's no jump. Like, I hate games that don't have a jump button, or at least don't let you drop from like a drop that's like literally a foot, and it's just like, oh, you have to walk all the way around. It's like, that to me is always like, just I'm never going to say it's lazy game design, because developers are under a lot of time crunch. I don't think any dev is lazy.
It removes from the immersion, though, is my problem with it.
I don't even think that's the case, because games like The Last of Us don't have a jump, like the first one don't have a jump button, and it doesn't ruin the immersion for that. I just think it's generally like they haven't balanced around the fact that you can't jump, outside of like clambering on certain things, and there's such an inconsistency of what you are able to climb up and what you aren't.
Exactly, it's a problem of feeling like you're in the world and how you can interact with it, right? And it's like anything with Gears, like the third person chest high wall, being able to clamber over stuff is like a really visceral feeling of like, okay, like I actually have some control over what I do in this move, and I can move quickly and get around stuff, and even if it isn't right, like a double jump or whatever, like it's like like being able to feel like the world is, even if it's a circle with a cliff, and it's like, okay, well, I can walk off the cliff because the world is the world, and it's not just a set of invisible walls that I can't see that I have to navigate around.
I was saying points like that, and then I had to keep being like, but I love the voice acting. Voice acting is so good. Like, you should. I love the story. Like, I still really like Ninja Theory. Ninja Theory are probably one of my favorite studios at the moment, because I think they're doing like really interesting projects. Like Hellblade 2, granted, is probably not going to be for me, but I like where they're going with it. I'm going to check it out for the story and all this different other stuff. Like, and I always just like, I don't know what to say about it. Like, it's one of those games that like, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Like, I don't think it's a fantastic, like, I got a lot of flack for when I said I didn't like God of War 2018. Like, I think there's a good few people that don't like that game either. Like, if you played the originals, it's like the original God of Wars are like, they're GOAT tier games. Like, and then you come to 2018 and it's like, oh, Kratos has lost the ability to jump despite aerial combat being such a huge element of like the original God of Wars. And I'm hoping with Ragnarok they kind of bring some of that back. I think I read recently that like one of the lead combat or area designers is like from the original God of War games, so maybe he'll bring something like that back. Again, another game that's going to be on previous gen as well, despite coming out in 2022.
Yeah.
Which was like a big thing. They were like, "Oh no, we make exclusives for the PlayStation 5," and then
we believe in generations.
A year later, they were like, "We're actually delaying this, and just don't tell anyone this, but it's also going to be on PlayStation 4, guys."
And you're like, what was that? What was that? They're like, you believe in generations? Yeah, it's like they believe, but the generation they believed in was the PS4 generation, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, like I love a lot of Ninja Theory stuff. Like, was it Enslaved: Odyssey to the West? Like, it's not a perfect game, but I love what they did with it. Like, it was interesting to play at the time. It was the kind of game that just doesn't get made anymore.
They do the best thing that indies do, which is take risks. Like, that's what everyone wants them to do. Like,
yeah, they take risks, but they also have a little bit of a budget. Like it's like I wouldn't see them putting out a pixel art game. Like
they're definitely like, as it would be described, like they're definitely big indie, like the stuff like Supergiant Games and all, like the big indie titles that have a bit of backing,
triple I or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Which I fucking hate that, but all right. I'm just gonna quickly go back to it too. So the optimized version.
Yeah, I was gonna say this whole thing about the news has just been us railing on the game, being like, I don't care if it's updated, it's still awful. No, sorry. Go ahead.
So optimized version of the game features DirectX ray tracing, resolution mode, and more. Also, think Mike from GPN said that there is chapter select now, which is great if you want to go back and clean up achievements. I
believe they didn't have that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I personally was like halfway through, so I'm probably going to go back and play it and see whether your claims hold up.
They will.
They probably will, but yeah. I think it's purely going to be a case though when the sequel comes out, whether they like optimize the experience. They know what mistakes they made from the first one. There's so many new IPs that we see. It's a case of the second game is like a AAA standard, and the where the first title was like a C+.
Sure, I guess we've said on this and RGS a lot of times, like, can't wait to see what they do with the sequel, right? Like, it's like good first attempt, a lot of potential, but they didn't quite hit all the marks. But you know what? And now they've got an engine and they've got a structure. Can't wait to see what they do once they polish it up a little bit. And that kind of differs between like, okay, well, games are an ongoing thing, things releasing in early access, and then getting polished, and then you've got games getting sequels like this one. But yeah, I 100% agree. What else?
All right, moving on.
I won't perjure myself anymore.
Fair,
I'm just catching up on chat.
Yeah,
everybody seems pretty hungry. All right, so let's move on. So, Boyfriend Dungeon hit Game Pass unexpectedly, which is amazing. Like, I've been waiting for this game ever since I saw it on PAX. I want to say PAX 2019, but it might have been 2018. Absolutely amazing. Highly recommend. There also was a showcase, like another ID at Xbox Showcase the other night. I haven't caught up on it yet, but there were announcements for Stardew Valley, Evil Genius 2, Paparazzi, which Nikita told me about and I'm super keen for now. And Origami 2, which we already knew about, all confirmed to be coming to Game Pass soon.
Yep. So it's again the season of video game is starting, and it's not just the AAA stuff. We're getting all kinds of things, especially in Game Pass. So it's
I own Stardew 2. I'm not falling into that trap.
No, don't yet. Well, I mean, yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
I mean, I know it's a great game, but it's gonna consume my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I think the fourth story, which we'll quickly just touch on, Grand Theft Auto Remaster rumors.
Yeah. So
do you want to go through that?
I mean, it's all but confirmed apparently, but essentially they're saying that there is going to be a remaster of Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas in some sort of collection. It was like,
can I just say, I love the fact that for years people be like, when is GTA 6 coming out?
I know,
and they're just like, here's 3 other games all remastered.
My favorite thing about that was that it's like, okay, last gen we had GTA 4. We had a GTA 4. We had GTA 5, and then we had the Xbox One generation. We had GTA 5, and then this generation we've got GTA 5, but we've also got the 3 of the oldest games that were running on the PlayStation 2. And then they were like, oh yeah, also GTA 6 like 2025. maybe 2026. I don't know. Like, still like 3 or 4 years away. Who knows?
I will say I applaud Rockstar for remastering games that actually deserve a remaster. Yeah. Unlike, you know, some other companies, EA, that will just remaster a game that doesn't need to be remastered for the sake of keeping an IP alive, you know?
Yeah.
Why not make a fourth Dead Space, EA? Why you gotta remaster a game that is perfectly fine on its current state? Like, it looks perfectly fine. Like, oh, sorry, I'm ranting and raving again.
I'm with you though. It's but that's EA through and through, though, right? And to be fair, Rockstar and Take-Two are probably not that much better in terms of stuff they do. I can't believe they haven't done a Red Dead remaster yet, but I'm sure that's on the book somewhere.
I don't know where I was reading this today, but apparently the studio that is the team that is working on the remasters is building it in an entirely different engine.
I mean, that would make sense, right? Like,
because that's what they're comfortable with. It came down to a case of, hey, this is what
because we all need to remember, you know, EA might be releasing Dead Space, but they absolutely gutted the company that originally created it. Like, Visceral Games are gone because of EA.
They're done.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, why is this is like the whole thing again of like Disney being like, oh, save the Clone Wars. It's like, you killed it. Like, what do you want about save the Clone Wars? It's like, oh, Dead Space is back, guys. Look at how great we are. It's like, you destroyed the one company that made it what it was, a great game. Like, even Dead Space 2 was fantastic, and then Dead Space 3. Granted, if you go back to it now, like, I don't know if this is an awful state of the industry. The fact you go back to Dead Space 3 and you're like, oh, the monetization isn't that bad. It was terrible. And now monetization now is 10 times worse. And I'm just like,
how
is not that bad.
How far have we fallen from grace?
Very fucking far. Yeah, it's bad. Because I remember when Dead Space 3 came out and they were like, guess what, guys? We're going to put human enemies in it. We're gonna add a co-op partner because we can sell more of this, and also you can buy materials to make your guns better, which means that we're gonna hamper you from getting materials in game.
I still remember when one of the earliest rants on RGS was about like getting, what was it, a dragon skin or something? Yeah, like spending $20 on just cosmetic items.
That's through and through, right? But yes,
that series,
because I 100% agree. Like, I love 1 and 2, and 3. Like I enjoyed for what it was. Like, again, it wasn't up to the same caliber. It was still a good game. It just wasn't super Dead Spacey. But like,
it's
for them
it's
to
just so
necromorph the shit out of their own fucking studio and be like, you know, it's like, oh, it's zombie volition. You're like, oh, come on, man, that's just sad.
Like, I feel bad for it's Motive that are working on it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, I feel bad for them in a sense because they obviously did the single player story for Battlefront 2, which was not good. I don't think that's an unpopular statement. No, but then there's also like they did Squadrons, which is a decent game. Like, I quite like Squadrons, but I also feel like it's just not the same. Like, it's not visceral anymore. Like, the thing I always like, they had such a brilliant series, and like they had genuinely Dead Space is the Alien of console, like of games in general. Like, it is there, it has that universe that you can expand upon. Like, Dead Space 1 has this creepy atmosphere. Dead Space 2 is a bit more action oriented, but like the actual information and story it adds to that, and also makes set pieces so much better. Dead Space 3, not great, but it's still adding a load of context to a lot of situations. Like, even the stuff they did, like their Wii ports and all this, and like all these other different bits, like, it was weird and wacky, and it intrigued me in the same level that Halo did. Like, there's something about those 360 era games that, like, they really just prioritize making these amazing sci-fi universes. Not that there aren't people doing that now, for sure. Yeah, but it is just.
I think 360 age though was definitely the case of. Like,
well, it was the golden age of development for that stuff, right? It was basically we were still getting into HD graphics, so you know, you weren't having to build everything in 4K.
Yeah.
You didn't have to have a huge multiplayer push or free to play or anything. You know, even Dead Space 2 had its fucking tacked on multiplayer mode. Like, you still had Project $10, and there's still bad stuff that happened around that. But it was still financially viable to release a single player based sci-fi thing with some scary shit going on. People were interested. Like, it was novel. And like, yeah, and like the 360 was such a hotbed for stuff like that. That sort of, you know, double A development, I guess, where it was like, you know, you had that mid-tier game, which, you know, Dead Space 1 was kind of at that, and then Dead Space 2 was a bit bigger because, like, it did well, and then Dead Space 3 tried to be the AAA thing in all the wrong ways. I mean, like, I'm interested to see what they do. I mean, like, technically it's like a reboot, right? So it's going to be like, it's not necessarily a remake, and I'll be interested to see, because we don't really know a lot about it, but
they
got a big uphill battle.
We can't forget Dead Space also did the amazing trailer of Your Mum Hates Dead Space.
Oh yeah,
and it was, that was an unreal. The amount of controversy they got in for making that, like, it was like you look at it now, it's not that bad. Like,
no, it's not.
Obviously, who are the people getting annoyed at that trailer? Like, my mom's not going to be playing Dead Space. Obviously, she's not going to like it. If I show my mom like any like first person shooter, and she's like, oh my god, that's awful violent. Like, clearly that's the thing they were playing at. Like, it's just
it's PR money can't buy. Like, it was perfect.
We need to find somebody's parents that are willing to play Dead Space games and record them.
That's fine. I'll work it out.
$1 million idea there, Cameron.
Exactly. Yeah.
Technically,
also that GTA trilogy, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. It'll be fine. I love Vice City. Vice City was my favorite GTA they ever made. I'll play it again. My main worry is really the music licensing, because that was the thing that stopped it from being ported in the past, right? Was that like they were like, oh well, like we can't have Michael Jackson and stuff in there because we just can't afford to keep that stuff, and also it's problematic.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's also a reason why Max Payne 3 can't be put on like backwards compatible. But it's so weird because the band that did the score for that, Health, like the score is owned by Rockstar. Like, they don't own the royalties to those songs.
Yeah, it's like I think it's one of those. Yeah, I never really understood why they just didn't. Yeah, but I'm
Rockstar. Totally I'm more interested in Rockstar porting some of their like more established titles to different consoles than I am their remasters. Like, I want Red Dead on 1 on PC. I want like Max Payne backwards compatible on Xbox. In fairness, I would say Max Payne is a PC centric game to begin with.
Sure.
Like console is definitely an afterthought, I think. But like, there's just Rockstar are doing some good stuff. Yeah, I'll give them props. Look at that. Come onto the show, and all the indie stuff we talk about, I rail on. And then the one big AAA company, I'm like, oh yeah, give them props. Like, they're doing good. Like, I don't know.
Next week in controversy, we find out Rockstar's just...
I was going to say, one of the most controversial, overworking, underpaying developers and publishers of all time. Some great games though, just can't get away from loving those GTAs and those.
Like we said, separating the art from the artist.
Yeah, impossible. Max Payne 4 would be good. I would agree. As long as it's better than Max Payne 3, because I
would disagree on that. I don't think we need another Max Payne game. Like, where realistically is that story going? Like, Max Payne 1 was like this gritty cop trying to clear his name after being blackmailed. 2 kind of then talks about like him coping with the idea of his lost wife and his child. 3 is pretty much that story just again. Like,
three is essentially just Man on Fire the game, right? They were just like, hey, that's a cool movie, we'll just do that.
Yeah, it's like, let's just send this white guy to a third world country and see how he gets on. Like, it's just, but it's like, it's the most like stereotypical like 2012 thing to do. Granted, I really like Max Payne 3. I'm not gonna like I think that game still to this day has the peak level of gun mechanics in any game. Like, I like Max Payne 1 and 2, love Remedy, love the stuff they do, but like the way in which Rockstar perfected that combat system, granted I think it has way too many cutscenes to make it enjoyable to go back to, but the thing about Max Payne 3 is like, Max Payne 3, like you could say like, oh, it's Max sobering up and getting back to life, like, and coming back as this new man or whatever to like save the day, but like at the end of the movie, like, what does he do? He goes and celebrates by drinking a beer. It's like, it's weird. It's like, I just don't know where they go with it unless they like handed it off to someone else, and then you have like sort of an Indiana Jones 4 scenario where it's like nobody likes Shia LaBeouf's character, and it's just Max Payne's a weird one. I like Max Payne. I would like now that's a game I'd like to see a remake of. I would like a reboot of Max Payne, like maybe the first game or something. I love the charm and of the like aesthetic look of those games, obviously. But I would like to see maybe even a new studio in Rockstar's like take on it or whatnot. Like, it doesn't need to be Remedy again for me to enjoy it, like, because I know Remedy parted ways with the IP, but like, I would like it's someone new to take a look at that series and maybe reboot a bit, because I feel like there's more scope there now.
Or Remedy just take it back and roll it into the Control universe. I'm totally okay with that too.
Why not?
Like, just have some real weird shit going on. And it was like, Max, actually those painkillers you've been carrying around these, the past 20 years, they're actually, an altered item that have been fucking with your mind this entire time, and none of it was real. I was like, great, perfect, love it.
We could do a whole episode on bloody Control and Alan Wake and...
Yeah, I love it.
Oh my god, Remedy are such an amazing...
What are Remedy working on now?
They're working on a new Alan Wake.
Oh yeah, true.
They haven't announced it, but they basically heavy-handed teased it at the end of the latest Control DLC.
I couldn't tell. I had no sound during that whole DLC.
Yeah. Mate, you just got to learn how to lip read and put cutscenes on.
Yeah, Alan Wake is one of those games where it's like, I don't normally say that there is a set games you have to play, but Alan Wake is one of them. Like, it's just so good. Like, it is ridiculous how like that is narrative peak of what video games are capable. I think of it's definitely up there. There's probably some other games back in my like it's so good. Like The Last of Us is a given. It's a cinematic game, but as a game and as a story, Max Payne is just top tier. Like, it's really good. Or not Max Payne, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say Max Payne or Alan Wake.
Well, both are there. Yeah. Both are there. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other games that are like Alan Wake.
Well, there aren't really. Like they made like
it's
they made
such
it
a
because
unique
it was so
experience.
different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still
Control is the closest thing that comes to it, but the same studio, like, so.
Yeah, and it's like because Control kind of and then before that was Quantum Break, which is kind of like okay, that was.
I still think Quantum Break's like one of my favorites from last gen.
I think it's cool. I think it's a really cool game. I think it does. It's kind of.
I don't see them ever doing anything like that ever again, or any other studio attempting it. But
well, no, I think it came out a bit half baked, with considering how much they're pushing it, and then they had the whole TV angle. They got pared down to like nothing, and anyway, let's get into what we've been playing because we've been running a little long. Cameron, mate, you want to run into what do you've got quite a few things.
All right, yeah, I've got a hefty list. So Halo MCC. I can't remember how many achievements I said I had left last week. I had 10 left last week. Okay. So in the week then I have done Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4 speedruns. I did Halo 1, 3, and 4 legit with Dom. Halo 2 I had to use the training mod because, oh my god, I was getting that down from like 17 hours to under 3, which is... Halo 2 is like a great experience, but not a great experience in Legendary.
Yeah, it's like you know how in Halo they're always like even on the difficulty thing, like heroic is how Halo is meant to be played. I would agree, except for Halo 2, where easy is how it's meant to be played.
Yeah.
If they could make a walking simulator version of Halo 2, I'd love it because it's a hallway shooter. So I just love to look around and shoot some things.
I just don't see why there is a need for the Iron Skull on Legendary.
Yeah.
If there was no Iron Skull, I would have happily attempted that quite a bit just to get it down. But like Dom and me are on opposite ends of the world. Halo 3, 4, and CE, we did all the tricks. We got it all done legit. And then Halo 2, it's just like try and do a grenade jump. Nah, I'm killing myself every time, knowing that I can do this stuff, but the lag is unbearable.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was our experience with that. Got that done. I had Mr. Lone Wolf from AHA in the party when I was doing the achievement for getting 150,000 points in the Lone Wolf End of Reach. Keys was killing all the elites, which me and Dom got pretty easy. I'm trying to think what else I had. And then just some other miscellaneous stuff. But then I ended it all with Halo Reach, doing the lasso run using the walking mods as well, just because the achievement name, like I said, as last week, is so great. Why do this to yourself?
Yeah, exactly. It's a fantastic achievement name for getting 700 achievements in one of the toughest games on the platform. 700
achievements over nearly 7 years.
I think that's more than I have in my it's just out of all the games I've played.
Saying that though, like it's funny though, looking back 2014, how much of a broken mess this was of a game. I remember doing like the lasso runs for 1 and 2 back in the day, and the Great Journey, you have to use the there's a trick to getting the Scarab into the final room, and then duplicating Johnson multiple times to take out Tartarus's shields, which is one of the most amazing tricks to see in all of speedrunning for Halo 2. Just because 4 Johnsons just shooting at Tartarus all at the same time is just great entertainment. And just, they're not hard tricks to pull off, so it's very fulfilling to do it that way. But there's just so much heft to the game. There's so much to do. There's 6 campaigns. It's a great experience. and I'm glad that I got it done before Infinite, and now I'm just left wanting more. I'm just hoping that because Halo Infinite's multiplayer is going to be free to play, that we don't have a, win 5,000 matches kind of situation. Or
oh, buddy, I think you're in for a rude awakening there, because I get the feeling that they're probably going to stretch those quite a bit. They're not the Coalition, so
yeah, we'll they're not crazy. They're not trying to kill us. Yeah, so that was cool. After that, I went, cool, I've got like 50 points. Not 50 points, but I had only done a few achievements this week. I've been putting off all these little updates. I'm gonna go like mad. So I did basically all my easy crap. And I'll get into that in a second, what I ended up on. I downloaded Art of Rally because that hit Game Pass this week. There is a bug on the Xbox version that can, I tried to stream it last night, constant asking me to sign in. So it kept on psyching, and I just went, alright, I'm just going to cancel the stream. Went and downloaded it on PC, which was 20 minutes as a download. Tried to do it then. Still pretty buggy. So it's more of a buggy game than a rally game.
Okay, alright.
I'm taking your joke.
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
Yep, that's fine.
But visually, it's great. There's just some problems with it. After that, Boyfriend Dungeon surprise release yesterday. Had to jump on that immediately. It is one of my favorite games of the year so far. Probably on par with Death's Door.
Wow, okay.
People won't agree with me with that statement, but that's how much I'm enjoying this game. I started up and I went, this is a very, it talks about love and dating and all that kind of bit. This reminds me of You Up a bit. I'm gonna get Nikita to play this with me, to join in the story. So then the whole time there's so many just sexual innuendos in that. There's a stage 5 clinger, that can't turn into a weapon, so he's a loser. So fuck him off. No, but the story's great so far from what I played. You go back to your room or your apartment, and then you get your messages from your potential dates, and then there's this one guy, Sunder, just just here thinking you. It's and the amount of times you get messaged you up, I'm just all right, cool. But there was one conversation where it's just I'm just here sitting here thinking of you. Do you want me to send you some pics? And then fucking me and Nikita are just going eh. And then he just sends off this picture of a sword. And then the whole next 5 minutes are just me and Nikita are just oh my god, look at that shaft. It's so long and sharp and
no.
It's such a funny game though.
You didn't have to bring up the prick pics, all right? Jesus Christ. Oh god. Okay.
Like Charlie's saying in chat, Eric is an absolute fucking douchebag. There's a case, it's every conversation with him's just you're coming off a little bit strong there, buddy. Just
just dial it back.
Just dial it back quite a bit. And oh my, it just gets worse. It's just
okay, Cameron, I hate to interrupt you. Can you explain what the fucking game is? Because all you've been talking about about all these boys you've been dating. All right, what kind of game is this?
All right, so it is dungeon crawler. You essentially, your dates are the weapons in the game. So you're dating your weapons, but then you're using them to get through a dungeon.
Some of my friends have dated some absolute weapons, so I suppose that makes sense.
So it's kind of you'll unlock a weapon, yeah? You'll go to the small, which is the dungeon. You'll pick up a weapon. That'll be the level 1. You'll fight through there quite a bit. You'll level up that weapon, and then you might go back to your apartment because you've died during that run. They'll message you asking you to go on a date. You go on a date. That will then progress you from level 1 to level 2. Go back in the dungeon, kill a bit more. In a clever way that intertwines both the visual novel kind of aspect of the game to a dungeon crawler.
So it's Persona, but in horny jail, basically.
I heard
haven't
someone
played
describe
Persona,
it as.
so I don't know if I
I heard someone describe it as Hades for goths.
Okay.
And-
All right.
But I think Hades is quite gothy in fairness.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Orpheus is an
Literally,
absolute
I was
looking
gonna
goth.
say,
yeah.
But yeah, it's essentially a mix of visual novel with I wouldn't say Hades just because it's not a roguelite.
Right. Okay. Right.
It's purely that dungeon crawler aspect you're getting further.
Yeah, it does sound like
it's
Persona, but more action based. Okay, that sounds good.
I'm trying to think here if it is a roguelite. Because
if you die, do you go back to the start of the dungeon and you lose any bonuses that you picked up while you're in the dungeon?
But you don't really get bonuses in the dungeon though.
Okay, well,
so that's why
is your progress reset though? I guess it technically is. It's got roguelite elements.
Yeah,
I guess we'll say.
Like it kind of has that feel to it, but because you're not picking up upgrades and that, like you'll have you're at the arcade in the mall, like that will level your I guess development with that character up,
right?
But that's a permanent stat. Like,
okay.
So I'm kind of iffy on whether to call it a roguelite or not, but it is a very enjoyable game. I very much like how they've like the dungeon crawler aspect of it is bare bones, typical of most games. Like they're not doing anything that's revolutionary there. It's just the fact that the visual novel aspect is pushing the story along so well.
So it's a visual novel with some gameplay thrown in.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, fair enough. I like visual novels.
But I'm really enjoying it. There's, like I said, there's a lot of jokes. There's a lot of conversations, though, that just make me and Nikita laugh. Yeah. And I definitely recommend checking it out. What else did I have? I played a little bit of Hades today.
Mm-hmm.
Not as much as I'd like to because I'm still moving. I defeated Meg. I think that's pretty much as far as I got, and then I realized there's a god mode, and I was just like, why do this to myself?
Well, the god mode only goes up when you die, so...
Yeah. But still, that extra 20% helps at the start.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, playing around for, like, I already know this is going to be one of my favorite games this year. Which, I felt so spoiled at the moment because I've got Boyfriend Dungeon this week, I've got, I've just played Death's Door, I've got to finish it off still. I've got Hades. I started Liberia of Verunia for like 5 minutes, and the anime opening... Like, I've seen nobody else talk about this game, but the anime opening to me is like absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I saw the achievement list, and I was like, this is the first I'm hearing of this game. I have not heard anyone talk about it. So
I've just seen the Game Pass announcement, and then that's pretty much it. They pushed it back a week for some particular reason. I don't understand what I'm meant to be doing in the game whatsoever. I'm just like, all right, cool cutscene. Played like 2 minutes trying to look up guide. This seems way too complicated. I'm going to come back to it later. But yeah. And then other than that, just like I said, easy points. Roomba was the only one I wanted to bring up in that. I had the unfortunate issue of that achievement glitching on me for the 50 kills. So I don't know if I'm going to have to just try and do it all one run and see if it unlocks, but whatever. Right. 22,270 for the week.
Jesus Christ.
Like I said, those Eidolon updates.
Yeah, they'll do it for you. Odrin, what have you been up to, mate?
Yeah, the great thing about playing indie games is that most of them are on PC, so I don't need to say how much gamer score I got during the week.
Yeah, fair.
I looked a good bit this week because we got review codes for the website for Death Trash. That is looking really, really good. And if you have it, and if you see it on Steam, it's well worth the pick up at the moment. I don't.
That's coming to console later on, though, isn't it?
Yeah, they're working on console ports at the moment, but who knows when that'll be at the moment. But I don't want to delve too much into it because I've only started it, and also I kind of feel like people need to just go look at the trailer. And if you look at the trailer and you think this is for me, it will be. I think it's one of those games that like once you see it, you're like, yeah, you get the idea. So go and take a look at that. Outside of that, what else have I been playing this week? This is going to sound really bad. I recently got a PS5, and I have been.
Oh, okay. Can we just turn them down a little bit? So maybe just solid mute them out, you know?
I recently got PS5, so I have been. I got Demon's Souls.
Just quickly before you move on, so
yeah,
Ireland, Leprechauns. That's how, or like?
Yeah, how
did you manage to get PS5?
Actually, the story behind it, I feel like is an interesting one. So I recently, I just finished up an internship with the Irish Times, which is like one of the bigger newspapers in Ireland. And I obviously got paid for my work. So I was waiting on this money to come in. And on the day I got my money for that, first of all, it got taxed to hell because I didn't put down I was employed there. So that's the unfortunate problem of the end of the year taxes. But when it came to the money coming into my account, I was like, oh, this is nice. Not only 2 seconds later did I get a notification on Twitter being like, there's PlayStation 5s in Smiths in Dublin, go get them now. And I was like, it's fate, I have to buy it, like I have to treat myself to one. So I got that, and then I'm more excited to play a lot of the PS4 titles I didn't get a chance to with higher frame rates. I am going to play Ghost of Tsushima, but I'm waiting for that director's cut. Will I put the 30 quid into it? Maybe not. Will I wait a bit? Yeah, probably, because my backlog is big enough already. But I have been really enjoying both Demon's Souls and Returnal. Returnal, oh my god, what a sleeper of a game. Everyone talks about Ratchet and Clank or like God of War Ragnarok or like Demon's Souls as well, or what else came out on PlayStation 5? Oh, well, I can't.
I guess was like, Ratchet and Clank was really the only thing that people.
It's the big one they've been on about, but Returnal is really, really good. People are not giving Returnal the credit I think it's due, and I feel like maybe that's because it's obviously a console exclusive, or maybe I'm just not interacting with sort of PlayStation Twitter as much as was
at launch.
A little bit, but
I can't attest that because I wasn't keeping up to date with it.
Yeah.
I just saw
that's as far as I know.
Yeah, I saw Returnal and I saw the aesthetic kind of Prometheus-esque sort of like landscape it has. I was like, I'm into this. I like roguelikes ever since I played Hades now, so I'm willing to give them a go. Oh my god, it's so good. It is unbelievable. And I always say this whenever I get like a PlayStation or something, because I got the PlayStation 4 in early 2020, and I'm just like, my god, the exclusives are unreal on this. I can see why so many people defend this console to the death. And it's definitely something that if you have the money, you should get it. Now, again, I had this conversation with Connor about the whole thing. It's like, I wish PlayStation Now was better so I could just go over and play all those games, but I am, in a sense, because I have to pay the €60 or whatever for Returnal, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna finish it because I want to get my money's worth.
Absolutely,
so it's like, I'm taking it one game at a time with the PlayStation 5. I will probably give Miles Morales a go at some stage as well. I held off on that because from what I've seen of it, it's very similar to Spider-Man PS4, which is something I like. I've 100% that game. I absolutely love that game. So I'm perfectly fine with playing Miles Morales. I'm just not right now. And maybe if it goes on sale a bit later on, I'll pick it up. But yeah, I've been playing those two. I gave 2D Top D a go, which is another game that we got a review key for on Steam, but I've been keeping up to date with that for a while. It's kind of, the premise of that is pretty much it's a puzzle platformer, but there's one person who's in a 2D plane, the other's in 3D, and you switch between those two planes and characters. So like somebody who's on the 3D plane can obviously just walk across the ground and and move a box into place for the person in the 2D plane to then jump onto. So it's a cool concept. I think it's really fun. I think it's well worth people trying as well. But yeah, those would be the three games I've been looking at. So I mean 2D Top D and Death Trash are both relatively cheap. I'd recommend if you have the time and the money to go and give them a go.
Fantastic.
I was going to quickly ask, because you brought up roguelites, have you played Undermine?
Not going to lie to you, I don't even know what that is.
Right. I'm going to put one request in for a review. I want you to play Undermine.
You want me to play it?
Don't make him play it.
God, Mike, if you saw the backlog of stuff I have, Cameron, you would not be.
I'll say, Cameron, you've got no room to throw any fucking stones.
Why don't you write it, Cameron?
Yeah, exactly. You fucking write it.
I mean, I will, because that is an amazing game that needs more.
Oh god, all I've been fucking hearing is like goddamn roguelites where you lose all your progress and waste all your fucking time playing this shit. All right, well, I can
go into that.
Playing.
You want to say how much you love Hades?
Hades, one of my favorite games of the year. Thanks for ruining my fucking joke. Jesus Christ. It's not like I was a setup or anything. Christ. I don't even know why I bother. So Hades came out at midnight last night, and I stayed up late to play it because I was like, I just had to. I was like, people have been talking about it. Charlotte was talking about it. You were talking about it. Everyone I know was like, oh yeah, I played it on the Switch, or I played it on the PC, and like I loved it. I played it when it was in early access. You need to play it. I'm like, I don't even like roguelites. So like, but it's like, it's fun, and like it's got really good character, and it looks beautiful, and the music's amazing. And I was like, I do kind of like a lot of Supergiant games. It's like they've come a long way since Bastion. I'll say that right now, right? This is one of the best games I've ever played as a complete package. This game is like almost perfect in terms of like, okay, like the runs are just the right length, the randomization is good, the characterization is good, the combat is like solid, like all the art is like, it's everything about it is just top tier. I'm amazed that this got made.
The one thing I wanted to add in that I forgot to mention before, it's a roguelite that doesn't feel like it's punishing you every time you die.
Exactly. Like it's the kind of thing where like I barely even notice. And like I understand why people like roguelites. Kyle's asking in chat, does it have an end? Yes, it does. Like there is an end for when you beat the final boss. Like there is a story end, and then there's a few like I think there's like once you do like 10 or so runs, it has like a bit of a narrative arc or something.
It makes me wonder if roguelite, because this is the only one that I can think of as a roguelite that has a narrative arc, whether that is missing from other roguelites that cheapens the experience.
It's hard, right? Because how do you make a game where you have to replay the same kind of content over and over and make it work with the narrative in a way that like is cohesive? Because the thing, like, and people have talked, again, we're talking about a game that's already been like talked about to death, and people have been raving about it since it came out, right? So I'm not saying anything no people have already said, but the little touches in this game are so incredible, right? So there was a part where I got to Elysium, which is the third area, and I got killed by one of the Great Shield guys, and I was like, fuck, okay. I go back, I end up back in hell, in Hades, in the chamber, and I come out of the pool of blood, and I go up and I talk to the guy, and the guy's like, oh, one of those Great Shield guys got you, eh? I'm like, yes. And he's like, man, you should really try and attack them when they drop their guard. I'm assuming they drop their guard, right? And it's like, yeah, thanks, cheers, buddy. You walk off, and then suddenly it's like, oh, who's in the area? It's like, oh, well, Cerberus is here. Hades himself is here, and there's one like Achilles is here, so I'll go and talk to Achilles, and he'll have something to say about like what's going on, or like some discussion, or it's like two characters are having a conversation you can go and listen to, or you can go to the store and upgrade your stuff before you go on to the next thing, or like there's so much to do between, like there's so much that can happen that like when you die, it's like cool. I'm glad that I died because I want to see, like I want to get some more story stuff, or I want to have a conversation with this other person, or see who's hanging around, or who's having a conversation with each other that I can learn some more of the history of like what's going on. And then it's like great, like all that stuff is like just, you know, like that's like my like crack. Like I love that stuff in terms of like like unraveling story and learning about characters. And then it's like cool, walk into a room, upgrade your stuff, pick a weapon. You've got like a choice of like two or three to begin with, and then you unlock more. There's 6 in total. And it's like, yeah, pick a weapon, go out, run it again. And you just run through, and every time you do it, you get new boons from different gods, so your play style changes. The music's great. The bosses all have different dialogue. So there was a part where I fought the same, because you fight the same bosses, but they acknowledge the fact that you know, you're in hell. So people don't die. It's like, okay, well, I'm fighting Megara. And she's like, oh, Christ. Okay. It's like, really? We're doing this again? Like, we have to like, it's like, this is like the 5th time we fought. And I was like, yeah, but I'm going to beat you this time. And she's like, whatever, man. Just let's get on with it. And so like it's, and then, you know, when you beat her, she's like, great. They remember the last time you lost. They remember the conversations you have with other characters. They remember like the relationships that you've built, and the gameplay is solid. Like there's so much good about this game. Like I love it. And I totally get that, like one more playthrough stuff. And I've yet to get to the very end. I've gotten to the final boss, and I got my ass handed to me. I'm partway through a run at the moment, and I'm at like the second to last boss area. Basically, there's a part where you need to fight 2 enemies at once, which is quite tough. But I've got a really solid build this time, and I'm like, I think this is going to be the run. But I know the minute I've said that, I've completely fucked it. But
get a last boss. Died.
Yeah, we'll see the last boss, because I know, like the thing is, like the only problem with it is that because this game is out and people have already talked about it, I know a lot about it already. Yeah. So there aren't as many surprises as I was hoping, but like that's just the reality of living in this industry, working in this industry, right? But
I just say, like, one thing about Hades that I thought was so cool when I heard about, because we were like, Connor and I were like doing our coverage of like the BAFTA Game Awards, and Logan Cunningham, who voices Hades, won Best Voice Actor. He not only voices Hades, but he also voices Poseidon, Achilles, Charon, Asterius, and the Storyteller. Like, the range on that man is just ridiculous.
It's incredible.
And it's not only that, but like, this is how you can tell it's an indie game. Like, the guy who composed it, Darren Korb, also voices Zagreeb, and it's like, it's just unreal. Like the score slaps in that game. Like, I listen to that regularly. It's so good. Like, I can never get over like how, like, it has such a perfect blend of like sort of ancienty, like Enlightenment era sort of stuff, but like mixed with this just almost like sort of sense of dread or despair. Like, it's just so well done. Like, I can't get it. Like, it makes playing each time round like when you defeat like Megara, like, there's always like that big crescendo at the end of the music, and you're like, oh yes, I did that. Like, that felt so good. Like, it's done so well in that game.
Yeah, and it's like, it makes hell. It's the most interesting depiction of hell I've ever seen, like, ever done, right? In any kind of media. Like, they get the Greek stuff down so well, but also make it so that it's like add contemporary bits and pieces in there, so that it doesn't feel like you're just reading, you're reading the Odyssey.
But like, in fairness, the game is so good because, in a sense, like, after playing it, it actually made me want to go and learn a bit more about Greek mythology. Like, it's always been something that's been relatively interesting. Like I don't have, like, I'm not Aristotle. I don't have the time to sit down and read like paragraphs on top of paragraphs and stuff. But like, playing the game, you almost get educated in a certain sense as to like the basic fundamentals of it, and then you kind of look in a bit more and you're like, oh, this is really interesting. Like, I really enjoy this. And that's I think there was an article done recently, and I think Supergiant like shared it, about like how Hades inspired like so many people to like get into and like read Greek mythology. And I think that's an amazing thing about games, where if you're going outside the medium you're playing it in to learn more about something you found through games, that's god tier element. Like, that's top tier of what your game is like.
Pun intended.
There's I was going to say, leading into that too, like, there's so much. Like, I wanted this to be my career when I was a kid, because I wanted to be an archaeologist.
And this is the thing, like, this is like, I imagine Cameron and I are both like this because we're both hugely into like Greek mythology and that kind of stuff, because we're massive fucking nerds. But like every time a character shows up, like, I imagine we're just, both of us are the Leonardo DiCaprio on the sofa doing the pointing thing at the scene to be like, oh, it's that thing.
All right, because I defeated Meg, and then it has that first story cutscene when you're pulling the note from Hades' drawer, and I'm just like, oh my god, Persephone! Like, oh my god.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you named your kid Persephone, so yeah, totally. Yeah, and it was like, you're like, oh, it's that thing. Oh, it's that thing. I'm like, oh, and then like, you when you get boons from the gods, they appear as like orbs with a symbol on it. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, I know what that's gonna be. I know what that's gonna be. I'm like, oh, what's this one? This one. I'm like, oh, of course it's that. And like, I love it. It's fantastic. Again, I've only played a few hours into it because it only literally came out at midnight. Yeah. It's amazing. But like, it's so good. My only worry is that like I'm worried that I'm going to hit the skill ceiling pretty hard if I'm like, because this run that I'm doing is probably one of the best runs I've had. That's the one problem I have with roguelikes, is that when you lose, you lose, right? Like, it's like you get hit pretty hard, and like yeah, exactly. I don't have that same tenacity where it's like, if I'm not making any progress on something, it's very hard for me to stay invested. Thankfully, like, this game has a lot of other hooks to keep me interested. But we'll see how those goes. I know that, like, and Charlotte was saying this in the chat, the game opens up a lot in terms of a bunch of extra stuff they unlock once you finish your first, like, once you complete your first run, they throw a bunch of new systems on it to keep it interesting. So I'm really excited. And as Aftos in chat says, get good. Fuck you, but yes, you're right. You're right. But yes, I'm loving. I've only just started. I've only put a few hours into it, but I'm gonna be. That's probably all I'm gonna be playing for like the next week at least.
After I'll race you to the completion. The first one that gets it can uninstall Halo MCC.
It's like 7 hour completion. I've also did Final Fantasy 7 on the Windows 10. Finished that up. Yep. Just sort of sped through it. TA says it's like a 25 to 30 hour game. You can get it done in 15 hours. I did it. It's super simple. You're probably not going to have much time because it leaves Game Pass in 2 days.
It holds up as one of the best games of all time, yeah?
No, it doesn't. It's very much of its time, but man, it has not aged very well. It's pretty rough, but I understand why people love it.
Be interesting if we have. Sorry to interrupt, but it'll be interesting to see if we ever get remake, to see how your feelings are on that compared to it.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they do bring it over at some stage. Excuse me, because like I've heard again good things about that as well. I'm also thinking about doing the Final Fantasy VIII before it leaves Game Pass, because they haven't announced that it will be, but it's probably not far behind. It's probably going to be next month. So we'll see if I do that. I have to play a lot of fucking Triple Triad though. And then I also finished up on the JRPG binge. I finished up Dragon Quest XI finally. So I finally bit the bullet, did all the grinding, crafted all the items, and then went and fought the big bad, or the super secret big bad. Managed to get him on my second try, so I was very happy about that. First time I was woefully underprepared, but good game, but it's a slow burn. It's a real slow burn, and it's very, very traditional. Yeah. So like it's like the Dragon Quest games have not really evolved since they were on the PlayStation 2 with Dragon Quest 7, was Dragon Quest 8, one or the other. And it's like it's pretty much the same game with nicer graphics and a few other quality of life improvements. So if you like the traditional JRPGs, jump into it. The first act is super, super traditional. It gets a little bit more interesting with Act 2, and then Act 3 is actually like in terms of narrative is actually very interesting. But I mean, it all boils down to the same sort of thing. You've got your archetype characters. They don't really have a huge amount of depth. You play a silent protagonist. There's only so much you can get out of it. It's not going to be a deep and engaging story with a huge amount of twists and turns. But
as somebody that hasn't played it before, would you recommend it?
I would think so. I mean, it gets an investment, right? Like it took me 70 hours.
Yeah.
And like TA says 100 to 120, but you can get it done 70, 80. The TA guides are very, very good to it. If you like traditional JRPGs and you have a bit of a hankering for them, go for it. You know, like if you're like, hey, it's been a while since I played a good Final Fantasy, and I kind of want to have that experience, but with without looking at like polygon faces and like having to have the slowest movement speed of all time. Like they have really good fast travel. They've got like sprinting everywhere. They've got teleporting. They've got like auto battling and that kind of stuff. If you want that, like they have a lot of quality of life stuff that makes it a lot more accessible. And the game's not overly difficult either. But yeah, it is. It's not a quick game either, though. So it's kind of like if you have time and you want that kind of experience, it's great to dip into. And like there aren't really any missables or anything like that. So it's just you can just go in blind and have a good time. But yeah, that's me for the week. 5,690, and that's probably going to drop to about 300 next week, I imagine.
Yeah.
All right.
Sweet.
Well, we've also got our leaderboard of other people's achievements who've been scoring.
Oh God! I just remembered I'm on that leaderboard.
Yeah.
It's okay. We only do the top 3.
So we'll do our top 3. So in third place we've got one Red 47 with 13,910 points, which is very, very good. He's doing well. He's dropped a little bit, but
he's getting close to the 1 mil.
He's getting very close. He's only like 50,000 off or something.
Yeah, he's just past it.
We've also got you there, Cameron, with 22,270. So that'll be the one and only time you're showing up on leaderboard, I imagine.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm guessing. What was the other guy? Chapter. I think he's probably having a week off.
Yep.
And then we've got Calevra, who was in the chat. I'm not sure if he still is. With 29,650 for the week, which is fucking insane. I don't understand
my gamer score.
Right? Like, you just like. How do people have time for that? I don't get it. But hey, But
actually, out of interest,
yes.
How many are on that list, and where am I?
Let's have a look. There's about 45 people on the list.
Yeah, let me look it up.
Don't go searching through 45 people then. That's fine.
It's fine. We got.
Good. I can be lost in there. That's
Cameron,
fine.
do you want to look them up? And
I was going to say, what's your gamer tag?
Wise Chalice 9626.
Yeah, that's it. Let me have a look.
I hope I'm not last. Please don't be last.
Have you played any Xbox this week?
All right. I don't even know if
I just want to point out the fact.
Oh my God.
I just want to point out the fact. Did you check it?
I did check it. Holy shit.
Admiral is in bottom at -15.
Yeah. So
how can
you
be at -15?
I don't know. I don't know how he has -15. But you've got 5 points.
Yeah.
So you're a second to last, but only because one person has -15 for some fucking reason. How do you get -15?
How do you get 5 gamer score? Are there achievements for 5 gamers?
Yeah. Five is about as low as it goes.
Oh.
So
I want to know what the achievement is now. To be honest, I want to know what kept me in it.
I'll have a look and see if I can find out.
it was you killed an enemy in the ascent. Like last Friday.
Yeah, first enemy killed in the ascent.
I played about half an hour of the ascent and then just left everything else.
Easy.
See what you mean? You don't play games when you have a lot of other stuff to do.
100%.
1 week, I remember like when I first joined that, I had the height of confidence. Like, I'm gonna get second on that. That's fine. There's only like 10 people in it. I can do that. I can do it. 1 week. The best I ever got was I think I got 15,000 score in a month or something because I actively went out of my way to try and double my score. Somebody in here is getting like double that in a week, and I'm just like, where are they getting the money or where are they getting the time? Because I want to buy it off them. Like,
exactly right. Yeah, they clearly have far too much time on their hands.
Well, 2 weeks ago we had Tony on, and that was 200,000 in a month.
Can you get the equivalent of like achievement scalpers, and they'll just like do it all for you?
Pretty well, yeah, but we don't talk about that.
Duplicating achievements.
Yeah, there's been some. Yeah.
Let's not get into that discussion.
Yeah, I don't want to get into that controversy. Do you want to?
I made something up, and apparently it's real.
Oh, I
feel bad.
Yeah, there's been some.
If you don't do things legit, if you don't do things the legit way, we frown upon that.
Yes.
I just say my camera ran out of battery, but it freezed on an awful frame. So I hope. Yeah.
Amazing.
Mid laugh.
All right. Cameron, do you want to do Patreon shoutouts or?
Yeah. All right. Let me quickly transition into that one. So, in terms of our Hall of Fame, we have Audrey Lilly, Cobra Todd, Cavaliero 7, Hack and Pawn, Kung Fu Skills, Hawkeye Barry, and Peter Nightingale.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys.
Thank you all for supporting us. I'm going to quickly just move back to that one. Cool.
And we'll jump into our question. We're running a little long, so we'll quickly touch on it. But Isaac, the question asker extraordinaire, has gone through and said, "Hey guys, I was struggling with a boss fight, but got the pattern down and thought I'd killed him, only to realize he had a second form, which killed me in seconds. I have an idea of what that boss fight might be. So I have to do it all over again and learn the pattern. I know some people like these games where you die over and over and have to learn what to do, like Dark Souls, etc. But I don't care for it when developers stick that kind of thing in the middle of an otherwise fun game. Mm. How do you feel about this stuff in games? And can you think about any where there are fun, except any games that are fun, except when they have some sort of tedious or annoying part right in the middle? Thanks for the show, Isaac." Thank you, Isaac.
What game is he referring to?
Well, he might be. I'm wondering if he's playing like Sekiro or something like that, because I know that.
Yeah.
There's a particular boss fight. I won't spoil it, but there is a particular boss fight that is famous for having a second phase very unexpectedly.
Yeah. Like I know it's not like I would say there are other instances of this happening in games. I'm trying to think of an example.
Well, I mean, Hades has that, but there's. I mean, like in terms of like JRPGs, this is a pretty common trope, right? Like usually the final boss is at least 2 or 3 forms. You know, he's in his human form, and then he turns into like a bus, and then he turns into like a smaller version of a bus. So you have to beat up again. I
just remember Kingdom Hearts 2. There's like 4 different boss fights at the end.
Yeah, exactly. As Kingdom Hearts 1 even, you fight Ansem, and then you fight the World of Chaos, and then you fight him. It's kind of nuts.
But I wouldn't say it's not to be unexpected, like being the end of a game either.
No, I guess it's kind of part, like JRPGs is very par for the course. Games where it's kind of unexpected though, I can't really think of many. Like people have moved away from that a lot, especially like in like the Dark Souls series. The one that sticks out to me, like Dark Souls is famous for like this kind of stuff, I guess, like bashing your head against a really particularly hard boss. But the Ormstein and Smaug fight where you're fighting 2 of them at the same time, and you fight, it's one guy with a hammer, one guy with a spear, and you whittle them down, and then whichever one you kill first, the second one absorbs them, gains their ability, and then gets back to full health.
Is that one of those stages? Oh, goes back to full health. So you're better off just focusing one enemy, taking that completely, and taking. Okay.
Yeah. And there's an easier order to do it in. That makes it a lot because whatever one you end up fighting becomes more powerful and gains the abilities of the original one, but in a different way.
Because I know I've played games like this before where it's honestly easier to take both of them out at the same time, because if you take out one, the other one gets like 500% damage.
Yeah. So it's like timing based and that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I mean, like having like a difficulty dump truck in the middle of a game is one of those things where it's becoming less and less of a problem in games due to accessibility options and the fact that games are made to be more playable by more people, and that games are better about it. Like they understand difficulty curves better for the most part. Like they, think because of the connected nature of video games now, it's a lot easier for developers to pull analytics on where people are getting stuck and why than it was when it was like, oh, you released Devil May Cry 3 and realize, oh shit, this game's way too hard and literally no one's finishing it, so we need to do a special edition that rebalances the whole game. Like that's how bad it got back then when we didn't have patches and updates and that kind of stuff, where it's like a game that's bad or is, the game that's unbalanced is unbalanced forever if you're not careful.
Yeah. To me, this just speaks roguelites too.
Yeah.
They're fun. I enjoy them, but it is always the case of bashing your head against a brick wall and finally getting through.
Yeah, which is why I just don't play them. It's just I try not to anyway. Yeah. I don't know, Odrin, you have anything you can think of?
I don't particularly tend to play extremely difficult games, just because I don't have the time to get through them. Let me think. Is there anything particularly that had like? I don't play many games that have like the sort of the standard like boss fight section to where it becomes like this. Like I suppose Hades the closest one, but like you're kind of expecting the second phase in that fight, to be honest, sure. Because it's too easy to begin with, I think. Outside of that, I can't really say I do. Like I may have started playing Demon's Souls. I haven't even gotten to the first boss yet, so I'll let you know if that happens at any stage. But there is Returnal kind of has a weird thing where there's a boss, but it's not so much like it's a difficult 3 stages for the first boss in Returnal, but it's not exactly laid out as if it's unexpected because it has the 3 bar for each wave, so it's like you kind of know what's coming. So no, I can't say I do have that problem. Maybe that's just because I purposely avoid it though. I think that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, and I think it's getting rarer and rarer as people have kind of moved away from it, and the people who enjoy the kind of roguelite experience where they really want to be bashing their head against brick walls. We built a containment unit for them to play their own games, and we don't have to talk to them.
I think but I think just also in general, I think a lot of at least games now, like where they used to be just traditionally hard, and if they were hard you just kind of had to graft through it. I think now games are becoming like they're obviously taking accessibility into account. People who can't play games that are extremely fast paced just physically can't do it, so it's like they're now putting in these modes. Like we see with Psychonauts 2 has that god mode. We talked about Hades earlier, that has a god mode that makes the game significantly easier. Like it's like challenges there, but I like when games offer you that ability to say like, I'm gonna skip this. Like for God of War, like 2018, like you can lower or up the difficulty at any stage. And like that too comes with its problems of like the higher levels are just like grind fests and there's nothing substantial to them. It's just really difficult enemies to kill, but I like having that option to turn it down if I'm particularly stuck on something and I want to experience a narrative in a game. So I think more games are starting to take into account that it's not about making the most difficult game. Granted, there are games like that. It's about making the most enjoyable experience catered towards the player.
Yeah, and catered to as many skill levels as possible. Yeah, totally with you. All right, well, hopefully that answers your question there, Isaac. I'm sure you'll have another one for us next week. But with that, I think we're going to wrap up the show.
Yep. I was going to quickly just say too, if you also want to ask questions, feel free to send it to our email or on the Discord.
Yep. So as we mentioned earlier, discord.io/GPNGG. We've got a dedicated channel for questions that fucking no one uses. So get your asses in there and start asking them. All right. Jesus Christ, people. We've also got an Instagram, GPN Hall of Gamers, all one word. We've got a Twitter @GPN Hall of Gamers. Cameron's been doing some great job, some posting some quality fucking memes on there. I've been laughing my ass off at some of the stuff in there. The sandbox thing in particular was pretty good. And we, as also mentioned, we've got our email, gpnhallofgamers@gmail.com. Now, Cameron, if people want to find you for whatever reason, where can they hit you up?
I don't know why they'd want to, but basically on Twitter, managing the Twitter, or my own at Shadowless Edge, or one word. Xbox and TA will be Shadowless Space Edge. The space, not the actual, not the word space.
Not the word space.
Just a space. Cool. Good clarity. Yeah.
Fantastic. Odrin, what about you, mate? Plug everything, mate. Go for it. Just
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. How long have you got? No. So you can find me on Twitter at Odrin Johnson. You can find the Gaming Sandbox Twitter at Gaming Sandbox _. Don't ask why there's an underscore. I'm very annoyed. There's a dormant account that holds that at.
There's so many. Every time on Twitter. God damn it.
I've never used the report button so much in my life. But outside of that, you can find Connor and I our sort of, I suppose, our OG podcast, the Unofficial Game Pass podcast, at Unofficial Pass on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're all under Gaming Sandbox, and of course, I think that probably wraps everything up. There's something I've bound to have forgotten, but
Instagram.
Our YouTube is also Gaming Sandbox. Yeah, I did say Instagram. Our YouTube is also Gaming Sandbox, where you can find content, and we have a plethora of different podcasts on varying different platforms, be it Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts. Is it Google Podcasts it's called? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't, you can tell which one I use, but it's all under the Indie Insight podcast and the Unofficial Game Pass podcast. So that is everything. That's my spiel. Appreciate it.
Perfect. If you want to find me, I'm Neomaster on Xbox, TA, Discord. Come hit me up, or don't. I don't really give a shit. All right, cool. That's episode 5 of Hall of Gamers.
Let's go and play Hades for the next week.
I'm gonna go play Hades. You're not gonna hear from me.
Yeah, we're just gonna be dormant in hell. Cool.
Absolutely. Kill me right now. Catch you later. Bye.
Peace.